Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Stoppage Time. This is our second to last one day a week show on Thursdays. We are going to go back to a regular a regular Wednesday and Friday show. EPL starts on September the 12th. And then we've got La Liga, Serie A, German Bundesliga, all going on the 19th or sooner. And, of course, France's League One is in action already. Their season has started. They're 2 weeks into their season. Let's go and welcome our guests to the show. We'll start with Kev. Kev, how you doing, buddy?
Good. I mean, coming off a 2-1 night yesterday on baseball, we're sticking to a lot of totals. So we're now 71, 47 and 3, 60.2% over the last 121, 4-5% totals. So, like I said this before, definitely something I'm going to try and stick to in the future. Totals, obviously, because they do offer the most value. And that's plus 76.44%. So happy with that. And obviously, but like everyone else who tunes into this show, I'm really looking forward to the new seasons here in Europe and excited to talk about it.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's probably the thing we're going to cover, other than some free plays as well too, on the show is with EPL, literally 9 days away. I believe 9 days away. We're going to do some. We're going to look at some futures bets. We're going to look at to win the EPL, to finish top 4, to finish top 6, and to get relegated. These are some pretty good markets, and they get bet into a lot. So they're very popular, and there's some money to be made here. So we're going to look at those. We're going to go to Pavlos next, buddy. How is the weather out there? It's got to be good. It's got to be warm.
It's great. It's great. It's very warm. It's still, summer, even though it's not summer. The cleansing during the summer has gone great. It helped me, get my head straight. I am right now on a 9-0 run, 11-0 run if you count the free plays as well. So I'm running really hot the past 10 days or so.
Nice.
Today I have a single best bet from tonight's matches from the Nations League. And I'm hoping to keep it up. And, it's been great.
9-0 run. You got to send me those streaks so I can get that up on the on the screen there, or create a package. But guys, 9-0 run. Head over to sportsmemo.com. Click on the Cappers page. Find Pavlos and click on those plays, because this is the thing I always say with streaks. You ride a streak. You never go against the guy with a streak, because the streak can only end once, but it can continue on and on and on. So 9-0, buddy. Great for you. And continue winning. And, Kevin, myself, Nick, we can always use some additional winners on the side. So, when you're on a 9-0 run, you might want to share a little bit with the rest of us. Nick, my in-game betting co-host. How you doing, my friend?
We usually get a lot of plays back and forth in our group chat, but I don't remember seeing Pavlos' plays recently. What's up with that, Pavlos? 9-0 and no love?
It's just some last minute, things that I think and click in my mind. So just, I'm just having a good run. I don't want you guys to ruin it for me.
Oh my God! Hey,
fair enough.
Listen,
no, I'm not superstitious. I'm not.
And I'm going to throw it back to Nick for a second, but I understand completely how you feel. I have a friend. If you guys have ever watched, I think the movie is Goodfellas, where they're at the racetrack and they're watching this horse who's in the lead, and then the guy Mush starts cheering for the same horse, and these guys rip up their ticket before the race is even over. I have a friend like that, who every once in a while will text me. And if I'm on a good run, I don't want to give him the play, right? I just ignore the text message for a little while until the game is over. And I'm like, oh man, I missed your text. Sorry about that. Because he's mush. I don't know what to tell you. I know there's no such thing as a jinx, but if there is, it's him. So Nick, how's it going, man? You've been hitting golf outright winners with just an insane, almost Pavlos-like run. How are things going there?
Yeah, well, tennis had a bad day yesterday, and I got trolled for it as usual. But soccer and golf have been running really, really hot. Golf, for the last 8 tournaments, I picked the outright winner, which odds are usually in the 30-1 neighborhood. So that's a pretty good run right now for golf. And soccer, up close to 70% over the last just over 30 days now. 6-0 MLS run with a easy winner in Houston last night. So soccer's been going real well, and MLS is doing very well after that bubble tournament, which I couldn't pick a winner. I'm blaming it on the neutral field in Orlando, and it's a whole thing. But back on the home field, it's been going very well. And I for one, I'll just speak for myself. I love the international game. So like the next 6 days for Nations League, I'm excited. The last time we had the Euro qualifiers, I made a lot of money during that stretch, and I'm hoping to do the same with this. I just love these games. I don't know. It's teams playing for their country. They don't get to play a lot together, so it's definitely different feels to the games. But I love this stretch. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really looking forward to these next 6 days.
Awesome, yeah. Yep. I would love to, and I'm not going to do it to you guys because someone did this to me. One of my friends, we were having some drinks, and they're like, "Oh, it's Nations League next week. Explain to me how it works." And I would never do that to you guys because it is some just weird cockamaniac calculus, algebra, weird thing where, like if you finish in the top of the 4 groups at the top, you advance. If you finish in the bottom, you get relegated. If you're in the bottom group and you win the group, you get promoted. But they don't tell you what happens when you get promoted or what happens after that. It is one of the weirdest things to figure out. You guys can just say no, but does anyone actually know or have figured out how this Nations League works?
No, and I don't want to. I just have no interest.
Well said. I'm actually just punching in the chat, guys, a promo for today. Use the $ on it as well too. It's a Thursday promo only for today, a show special. Any of the 4 guys on today's show, $10 off any of their packages today. So for us to have Nations League plays up today, to have like a 2-pack, a 3-pack, 4-pack, whatever it is, if it's $29, get $10 off of it by using $10 sock for soccer, of course, and you get $10. It's a show special. I'm going to do promo codes for every show that will be good and valid only for the day's show and only for the guys who are on the show. So obviously tune in to that. So we're going to get right to it. Obviously EPL, all soccer just ended. It seems like yesterday. But it's a brand new season, and EPL, other than France League One, EPL is the one we're going to discuss the most. It's a brand new season in EPL starting on September the 12th with a few games. Some of them have been postponed, and it's only because any of the teams that were in the Europa or Champions League that went late, the players are given at least a 30-day break, a 30-day vacation, let's call it, before they play. So a couple of the games have been canceled. But for all intents and purposes, it's a brand new season, Nick, on September 12th, correct?
September 12th, yeah. I think right now it's just the City and United games that have been postponed. So I think 8 games on that weekend, and we'll be doing a live show probably that Saturday to cover the start of it. So I'm excited for it.
Let's try and find a game, not like, let's say, Burnley
0-0.
and somebody that where it's going to be 0-0 and it's just, we're just kind of staring at the screen and trying to fill 90 minutes of dead time while nobody scores. So we'll try and find something good. So I'm going to throw this one first to Kevin. We're going to look at, let's go through, there's like 4 different categories, but why don't we cover the winners first? And we'll go to Kevin first. We're looking at it, and I'm looking at the screen. Man City, of course, is minus 138 to win. Liverpool is plus 225, so 2.25. Really good odds considering they're last year's runaway champions. Chelsea, with all the moves that they have made during the offseason, Timo Werner, Nick will mention all the other guys, but Havertz or Havitz, I can't even pronounce his name, but they've just a wealth of players that they've brought in. They're at plus 1,200 to win. Man United plus 1,600, Arsenal plus 4,000, which is 40 to 1, and Tottenham at plus 5,000, 50 to 1. Those are the top 6 odds wise. I'm going to throw it to Kevin first for your thoughts on outright winners here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big proponent of XG. We've talked about it on the show before. And if you looked at the XG numbers for last season, Manchester City were clearly the best team in the league. Manchester City, 27.02 expected goals ahead of Liverpool, who are actually third behind Chelsea. 2.57 goals against ahead of Liverpool, who were fourth behind Wolves and Man United. And also 12.48 expected points ahead of Liverpool. So just going by the stats, you would say Liverpool was somewhat fortunate to win the league. Also, another stat that I like to look at in terms of the NFL, not to get sidetracked, but teams how many games were won by one score. So you could say there's a certain type of randomness to that. And Liverpool won 14 games last season by exactly one goal. So again, you might look at that, plus the XG numbers and surmise, look, this is going to be Manchester City's season. But as much as I'm a proponent for XG, I don't think it applies to these two teams because they play completely different styles of soccer. They play completely different styles of football. For instance, Manchester City 5, Norwich 0, Liverpool 1, Norwich 0. They both got the job done, but they do it in two completely different ways. Also the same against Brighton. Man City 5, Brighton 0, Liverpool 3, Brighton 1. Liverpool get over the line, defend, close out the game. And they're also, the biggest thing for me is their dependability. And I mean, you're looking at results prior to March, up to February, because, they were playing then. After March, it kind of gets into territory where the league was already sewn up. They had nothing to play for, pretty much, And before February, 2-0 against Manchester United, 2-1 against Wolves, 1-0 against Tottenham, 4-0 against Leicester, 2-1 against Chelsea, so on, so on. They also beat City in that regard 3-1. When they had to play, they got the job done consistently. Manchester City, by the same token, when they had to win, lost 2-0 against Tottenham, 2-2 draw against Crystal Palace, 2-2 draw against Newcastle. So, they're not very dependable, and we're going to look at the Messi transfer supposedly going to City and so on. That does not solve Manchester City's main problems. Their problems are at the back. Laporte, Fernandinho, Kyle Walker, those guys are not going to deliver you, a Premier League title, in my opinion. And, Leon, we just seen in the Champions League, had 7 shots on goal and get 3 goals. Yeah. That's pathetic. That's definitely not going to get the job done. So I have to look at Liverpool again, plus 225. As long as they keep their players, I think Mane is such a key. Because like Mo Salah, Bobby Firmino, they don't backtrack enough to connect to that midfield, whereas Mane does. Mane is the link player there. So if they can keep him, if the supposed transfer of Adama Traore from Wolves, if they can get him to Liverpool, again, I would definitely look at that plus 225. And just to finish up, the other contenders, Chelsea, you just talked about Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, fantastic signings, but I actually like as well, I'm a big fan of Frank Lampard, Thiago Silva, Ben Chilwell at the back. That was Chelsea's problem as well. Unlike City, I think he's actually rectified that to some degree because they're both good players. As old as Silva is, he brings in so much experience. And that 3-0 loss to Sheffield United, 3-2 loss to West. You cannot be giving up 6 goals to West Ham and Sheffield United. Yeah. So I think he's added to that. And Manchester United, I'm not sold on Solskjaer as a coach. He's brought in that Donny van der Beek, the number 10 from Ajax. Maybe one of you can tell me where he's going to play in this Manchester United formation, because he plays in the same role as Bruno Fernandes. Are you going to bench Bruno Fernandes? No. Are you going to make a role he's unused to more defensively? So again, Lindelof, Maguire, I think De Gea's on the slide. So it's got, out of those top 4, it's got to be Liverpool. And I'm just going to finish.
Yes, no problem. Then I'm going to give Nick a chance to rebut. But go ahead.
I was shopping over here in Europe. I found 70 to 1 on Tottenham. And I think it's worth a play. I think Tottenham's got, just on paper, Harry Kane, Son Heung-min, Lucas Moura, Steven Bergwijn, who I think is going to turn into one of Europe's best wingers. I'm so high on that kid, Bergwijn, Davinson Sanchez at the back, Ryan Sessegnon. If Mourinho can get this team playing his type of formation. Even though I'm not the biggest fan, look, he's won the Premier League multiple times. And also the biggest thing is Spurs' only top 4 team that they face is Manchester City, and that's not until November 21st. So there's if they have a hot start, keep healthy, there's value in that 70 to 1.
I'm going to take the rebuttal here first on this one. For those who don't understand futures, if you take Liverpool at plus 225 and you put $100 down, you get $325, 225 profit plus your 100. If you follow Kevin on that Tottenham play and you put $100 on Tottenham at 70 to 1, you get back 0. And that's pretty much how it works. So, no, I get it. I'm a big guy on finding futures that you can eventually hedge out and try and make some money. Currently sitting on one on the New York Islanders to win the Stanley Cup at 40 to 1 that I took at the start of the playoffs. So hopefully they get a win tonight against Philadelphia. I know I'm changing sports and going off on a tangent, but just explaining futures in general. To your point of Chelsea, yeah, you know what? I have a couple friends who are massive Blues fans, and they're like, "What do you think of our moves?" And I don't mean to talk back because I love Lampard as a coach, but manager. But they've literally spent all of this money to finish no better than 3rd in the league, because the league is going to be won by Man City or Liverpool. I just don't see this as a season where there's a Leicester City type team at 5,000 to 1 that wins the league. It comes out of nowhere. And captures the league. I just don't see it with Chelsea. And then you throw in the fact that maybe their team is better built, believe it or not to win the EPL, but to succeed in Champions League this year and make a run, because they've picked up players that have played international football, that have played in Champions League, Europa League, that have made runs with their teams. Timo Werner with Red Bull Leipzig, Havertz with Bayer Leverkusen. So these are guys who have played top level football. So maybe it's better for them there than it is as far as winning the league. I just think that City and Liverpool are probably at this point, maybe it's a Squares point of view, better at winning the league this year with their teams. A lot more depth throughout the team. And, that's my opinion on it. Nick, I'm going to throw it to you next on this.
I was with Kevin all the way until he said Tottenham, But I'll defend him and say at 70 to 1, why not? It's not like he's going to put a lot of money on it. And if he can,
it's a hedge opportunity at 70 to 1.
It is.
I agree with that. There's no way they'll win. But he's right. If they have a good run, they come out early, that price will drop, and perhaps there's a way to profit off of it later. So I'm not opposed to it. I just, I had to say something against him. I just hate Mourinho. I just don't. I don't know. It seems like he was different back in the day. Maybe he really wasn't. But players, I don't know. They either love him or hate him, and it seems more than ever people just don't like him. So he kind of turns on his players too. Which how do you, as a player, it's like your manager doesn't have your back. I don't know. It seems like it creates more turmoil.
He inherited a team. Yeah, Nick, I'm not a fan of Mourinho, and I don't mean to cut you off there, but just a quick point is he inherited a team that, in my eyes, weren't very good and got them to play much better than they were playing. So to Kevin's point, yes, when you have a manager, sometimes a manager can make a huge difference and can bring in a couple guys that may not look like those fancy, 70 mil transfer players that you bring in and that you plug in, and you just think it's a plug and play kind of thing. It's like, okay, we've filled that hole, and it's not the case. He seems to find guys and seems to get the best out of some players. So to Kevin's point of 70 to 1, if you can find 71, it's fantastic, because that is something that you can hedge out later if they get a fantastic start to the season. So.
Yep, I agree. I got no problem with the play. I just didn't like Tottenham in general, but that's okay. Since Kevin covered the top, which the only thing I'll add there, we know the wild card is Chelsea with all the players. Kevin nailed them all. He forgot Hakeem Ziyech, which I just got his jersey last season, so my Ajax Ziyech jersey is kind of pointless at this point. But I think he's going to be a big player for that team as well. We forget about him because he was the guy that signed back in the January window. But he was the first big signing. I think he's going to have a big impact, just like Werner and Havertz. I don't know how they're going to play everybody. I mean, they're going to be a completely different team than they were this year as far as their lineups go. So they're going to be a wild card. The one thing you have to worry about with them is a slow start, right? Try to get these players on the same page. So the only way in the future market, I don't think they're going to win at plus 1,200. And I would never tell somebody to bet the future market of a top four and lay minus 200 on a future to tie up your money for 8 months. So really, there's not much there. I'm looking at DraftKings actually right now, and you could take Chelsea versus United, just which team will finish higher points at the end of the year. That's an interesting matchup. It's pretty much even both ways, slightly juiced actually to United. That might be a way to play Chelsea. I think they could finish. I think those two teams will be very close, and I think they have a good chance with those players to finish ahead of United. But anyway, down to the bottom side of the table, I think that's where you can find a little bit better value. We talked before the game. Kevin had mentioned some of the teams he likes to fade this year of who's going to be relegated. And if you look at that market, you got the three newcomers, right? You have Fulham, West Brom. They're both even money. And then you have Leeds, which Leeds has a pretty storied history in the Premier League. So they're not one of the favorites actually to go back down next year. They're plus 350 to be relegated. So bookmakers have them set to be to stay up. Versus you got Villa plus 175, Palace plus 225, Newcastle plus 225, and then Burnley plus 250. Leeds, Brighton, and Sheffield all about plus 350. So down in that area, I think we have more options to play with, right? The top is, as Carm, you mentioned, it's two teams. The bottom, I mean, you can make an argument for any of those 8 teams, that any of them could possibly go back down next year. And trying to look through the player list and figure out, who's going to come out on the bottom, I think it's worth spending some time. Kevin mentioned before the show that I agreed with on Newcastle being a good team to look at to possibly drop. They're plus 225, plus 250 in that neighborhood. And they were the worst team in the league last year on expected goal differential. They couldn't score. They were worse than Norwich, believe it or not, which is saying a lot because Norwich was really bad. They got a couple lucky, single goal wins that kept them up. And I think at plus 225, it's a decent play for them to go back down. I do think, West Brom is probably not going to stay up, but they're even money. And Fulham, they're right there on the swing line too. So I think of those teams, my personal opinion, Newcastle's probably the one to go with. Villa, I think they actually underperformed a little bit last year. I think they could be in the maybe 13, 14, 15 range and not go back down. So that's kind of where I'm looking at this season in the futures market is the relegation battle. I think there's a lot more opportunities there than there is to win.
Yeah, and we're going to go back to Kevin on some of these other ones because we're sort of going to bounce around between these four markets of the winner, the top four, top six, and to get relegated. I will say this. I have a couple different, I have quite a few different betting accounts set up, but there's one account I have set up that is just for the futures markets. And I will say, and patting myself in the back, the last 5-6 years, I've made some very good coin betting the different markets, whether it's football or whether it's NHL or what have you. My only bet I've made so far in the EPL, and it's a fair-sized one, is Aston Villa to be relegated at plus 175. I do believe that's going to happen this year. I'm looking at this lineup. They should have been relegated last season. You can look at it different ways in what happened in the last few weeks and a VAR goal that was a goal that wasn't a goal and all this other stuff. But I believe this is the year that, unfortunately, Villa is relegated. Fortunately for me, because I've got a bet on them to be relegated. And we'll see at plus 175. When we get into those last 6 weeks, you can still bet these markets on whether they're going to get relegated or not. And I'll look to, at that point or not, if I need to hedge out or not. At 175, it's more about hedging out to get out of your bet than it is to make a big profit on it. But Villa to get relegated at plus 175 for me right now is the only bet I've got as far as futures so far. Pavlos, my friend, You've been cleansing while we all been talking. So tell me what's going on there. Anything that stands out to you?
Yeah, I have my Greek sports book here, so I don't know if you can find this in other sports books, but for some team to finish in the top 6, you guys might think I'm crazy, but I really respect this team. They underperformed greatly last season. I think they're gonna do much better this season, and that team is West Ham. So West Ham to finish in the top 6. I know it's a long shot, but I find it at 20-1, which is really, I think it's a very good, it's very good odds because, and I haven't seen their schedule in the start of the season, but I'm gonna do it, and I'm gonna also throw this play for free for everyone to see. So if they have a nice schedule at the start of the season, I'm definitely gonna go with West Ham to finish in the top 6. For the same reason that Kevin said about Tottenham, that you can always hedge out.
Yeah.
On that bet. As far as the winner, as you said, it's gonna be a huge surprise if neither City or Liverpool capture the title. I really like Chelsea. I had to say a couple of words about Chelsea because they made very good additions. I personally like all the players they got, because when we play, FIFA with the boys here, I always used to play Ajax and beat them with Ziyech. I always used to play Bayer Leverkusen and go, with Havertz. I used to get Leipzig and go with Werner. So I like all of those players. I think they created, the 3 midfielders and the guy up front is going to be really deadly. Hakim Ziyech is going to feed Timo Werner at the entire, time. They have a lot of goal-scoring opportunities. They might score, they might outscore a lot of other teams, but we'll talk about that later. So they also improved their defense, which was going to be my next point, because I was worried that they didn't sign any strong defender, but then they signed Chilwell for the left flank, who is a much better addition than Marcos Alonso, who is a good football player but not very fast, and also Thiago Silva, who, by the way, was carded at the Champions League final, and it was my free play that day for Thiago Silva to get a card, and he did get a card. So yeah, and I'll finish up with the relegation. In the relegation battle, I think that West Brom have one of the, as you guys said earlier, I think they have one of the weakest rosters in the Premier League. Also, Aston Villa didn't make any additions, so it's going to be hard for them. And I don't really like Burnley. Maybe you guys, I don't know. I've won some 5% top bets with Burnley, but I don't like that team. So maybe it's just my personal.
Well, they're not a fluid.
Out of spite or
they're
whatever.
not a fluid team like a Man City or Real Madrid or Barcelona or PSG. I get it. When you take them, you're usually getting half a goal with them and just hoping that they can stave off the other team. So I do get it. Yeah. He is Pavlos Laguretos. You can find him at Sports Memo. He's on a 9-0 run right now. So definitely get head over there and pick up his plays. You can use the code that I have up for today only. Excuse me, $. It's the $. 10 soccer, SOC, SOC. That's good for any one of us for today only. I'm going to go back to Kevin in a second for any rebuttal or any relegation stuff before we go to the free plays, guys. One last one for me that I'm looking at. And the top 4 battle is going to be absolutely massive in this, massively good in the EPL this year because there are so many good teams. I'm not surprised, but I'm so impressed with the job that Arteta is doing at Arsenal. They brought in some more players on that team. He is molding this team to play his style, which is absolutely fantastic style. And you saw it. You saw it in them beating Man City in the semifinals of the FA Cup, and then beating Chelsea in the finals, and then they just beat Liverpool again in the Community Shield, which I think the Community Shield is just a friendly, to be honest with you. They give you a nice little trophy, but it's still another thing. Aubameyang is staying with the team. They've got him playing really good, and they're the only team outside of the top four that you look at, like let's say the two Manchester teams, Chelsea and Liverpool, that is plus odds to get in. The other ones are all minus odds to finish top four. So you can get Arsenal at plus 250. And this is a team that is going to play a lot better on the road this year. And this is where they struggled last season. So if they can pick up those points, this is a team, if you look at it over the last 5 years or so, other than last year where they finished 8th, they're always in that sort of 4th or 5th spots. So a much better team this year. They finished second, I think, 4 years back, I believe, 4 or 5 years back. That could get in there at plus 250 is not a bad price. Kev, before we go to the free plays on today's Europa League card, anything else you want to add as far as the markets here?
Yeah, I mean, Nick touched on Newcastle. I think that's a fantastic play at plus 250. I see them as definitely going down. Unless they pull another rabbit out the hat, they're definitely going down with their XG numbers. West Brom, automatic yo-yo team up and down. And I think there's value on Brighton at 4-1. It's one of the most inconsistent teams in the league. They can go out and beat Tottenham and Arsenal, then they lose to Aston Villa and Crystal Palace. I'm kind of scratching my head at this Shane Duffy trade they made because he is an important player at the back for them. And they finished the season. They won just 4 of their final 23 games of the season. Yeah. And one of those was like a meaningless 2-1 victory over Burnley. A team that I have to disagree with Pavlos. I like Burnley because I think consistency. So like Norwich can go out and beat Manchester City, but consistency. Sean Dyche. I'm such a big fan of Sean Dyche. He's just got that, pit bull terrier type, dogged Winston Churchill, whatever you want to say, like get the boys up for the game. So you can get a relegation treble, Newcastle, West Brom, Brighton at 66-1. I like that price. But just to touch on Pavlos again, my favourite play of the entire outright market's top 6, Southampton. I got 14-1 on Southampton top 6. Now you might look at that and go, well, why? It's all about Ralph Hasenhüttl, the Austrian manager. He took this team over when they were in the relegation zone. They were 1 point from safety. They were sitting in 18th. That was only last Christmas, December 2018. He took them from there all the way to 11th last season. And what people seem to forget is just road record. Nick touched on this last week with the Rennes Montpellier game. You look at road record, it tells you a lot about the team. They can go on their travels, get results. Southampton were the 3rd best team on the road last season, behind Liverpool and Manchester City. Like, this team can play. They were ahead of Man United, Chelsea, Wolves, all those teams. So I think 14-1. He stuck them from relegation to 11th. I think they can squeeze inside that number 6 role. And you're giving me 14-1. I think there's some great value there.
Yeah, and listen, before I throw to a rebuttal to Kevin, or sorry, to Nick, or a free play, is they've got one of my, last season, at least in the EPL, he was one of my favorite players to watch. This guy always had a smile on his face no matter what was going on. Danny Ings. And he's scoring. Yeah. He had a fantastic season for them last year, and he's gone through a lot in his life, with injuries and what have you. But he had such a fantastic season last year. Here's to him having another great season this year as well too. So with that said, let's get into free plays because I know a lot of you guys are hanging around waiting for them. El Rey, thanks for joining in. Anthony Fiola, I know that, I hope I pronounced that right. I know Nick mentioned it. Some value does get lost in the transfer during the January transfer window, but sometimes you can pick up some good prices. So if you don't want to get in on any of these right now, you can wait. The great thing about a lot of these sports books that are soccer friendly is they'll keep these markets up most of the year. So you can bet into them however you wish. All right, Nations League. A bunch of games going this afternoon. I think the biggest one is likely the Germany-Spain one. It probably doesn't rival the Faroe Islands-Malta one, but Germany-Spain, always a good game. I'm going to throw it to Nick first. I'm not sure what his free play is today, but Nick, take it away.
I wanted to add one thing about Burnley. Number 1 team in the Premier League last year against the spread. 22 wins, 12 losses, 4 pushes. Sheffield United was right there as well. But just saying that out, they're always disrespected and always a good team to bet on. Anyway,
with that said,
let's go to with that said, Germany I like today. So both teams, first Germany's team is, they're missing several players from Bayern's team as they're all being rested. So Gnabry, Neuer, Kimmich, Goretzka are all out for this match, for these 2 matches. But listen, who does that open the door for? Werner, Havertz, Leroy Sané. They've kind of underperformed the last, couple of competitions internationally. But I think they're a team that's going to be on the rise. And at home, getting plus money. I took them yesterday, plus 140. Looks like they're about plus 130 right now. I think they're the side to be. Spain is in a transition period. They still have plenty of talent, but their squad does not have a lot of international experience. They have just 8 players of their 24 that have played more than 15 international games. So they're a team that's like they're in a weird spot. I think it's going to take a little bit of time for them to kind of get rolling again. Not that they're going to go out and lose to, a terrible team like a bottom Latvia team, something like that. But, competing in the Group A's of the Nations League might be a little difficult for them, just because I think they need a little bit of time to gel. So this game, I think we're looking at a Germany win. I also like the over because on both sides, you have a lot of players that haven't really fully gotten their international experience in. So you got a lot of different players. That means a lot of action. They want to impress the coach. They want to get their regular time. It also means a lot of mistakes. So I think it's a good chance for scoring. It's only 2.5, the over or under. So I'm on Germany and I'm on the over for my free plays here for that matchup.
All right, yeah, and that total I think is sitting at 2.5 minus 1. Minus 138 right now.
It went up.
Yeah,
it was only around.
Yeah, it just went up a touch. This I'm quoting Bet365 prices. And if you think both teams are going to score in this game, and the both teams to score is minus 163, but you can actually get the both teams to score and over 2.5, and you're getting it's at plus 100, so even money. So if you think both these teams are going to contribute to the scoring and it's going to go over 2.5, that's probably the way to go. What do you think, Nick?
Yep. Hard to imagine, even though Spain's, like I said, a little bit lack of experience, they still got plenty of talent. Yeah. Hard to imagine they don't get on the board.
Yeah, and I agree with you in the sense of, this the Nations League these are the match day ones for this competition. It's taken over. Nations League essentially is taken over what friendlies used to be. So instead of having friendlies, they wanted to make those games a little more important. They created Nations League with ultimately 1 or 2 berths in competitions like the Euro 2020s, which is now the Euro 2021s, at stake, and allowing some teams to get into the Euros that normally wouldn't get in through the regular Euro qualifying to get into it. So it gives those smaller nations a little bit of hope and a chance to get in. We're going to throw it to our good friend out in Greece right now, Pavlos, with a free play. What game are you covering? And tell us about it.
I'd like to say just one last thing. My just slight objection, I just have to say it. For the Germany versus Spain match, the only objection I have is that in the last 5 matches these teams played against each other, the last 5 competitive head-to-heads, not counting friendlies, have been under 2.5 goals. So I just don't want to, go against you guys. I personally didn't look at this match at all. I think there are more interesting matches to see today. So to be honest, I didn't even. I just looked at the numbers, the odds. I didn't like anything, so I just moved on. So where did I move on to? I moved on.
Wait. What was the last time Germany and Spain played competitively?
I think it was in the 2008 final or something like that.
2010, 2008. Who cares? Come on.
Yeah. I know. I really like the history between teams. I use it a lot in my predictions. So anyway, My free play for today is from the Moldova versus Kosovo match. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because some people might look at this match and they'll say, I'm just gonna pass it by. The thing is that Kosovo is one of the newest teams, let's say, one of the newest national teams in the world soccer. They've been really great for a team that's been around for like a couple of years. They've been really great.
Yeah.
In the Euro, they did a great job. They finished at the third spot behind England and the Czech Republic in a 5-team group. They got 11 points. They had a 3-3-2 record. So they do have a lot of players that play in European competitions. They're a very strong side. So I'll go with Kosovo with -1.25 goal. Also in this match, I think that we'll see a lot of, a lot of tackles and a very physical match. And that's because there is a slight political background in this match, because Moldova are one of the countries that don't really, they don't like the fact that Kosovo is an independent country. So there is a somewhat political background between these two countries. So I think we'll see a very physical match, possibly a red card, and maybe a penalty kick. The red card in this goes at plus 435, and the penalty kick goes at plus 195. And that's my free play.
All right. No, I like it. I actually do have, so I'm not going to comment on your play at all, but I will say that I do have, as part of my Nations League 3-pack up today, this is one of my games. So you can get $10 off using that that promo code $10 SOC for soccer. On this, any rebuttal on this Kosovo Moldova game?
No.
Okay.
I love Kosovo.
So we love your play, Pavlos, or they love your play. I will not comment on whether I love it or I don't love it. You'll have to find out later. James, welcome back. Nick and I, before I head over to Kevin, Nick and I are going to return first week of the EPL season, stoppage time in the mornings. I'm going to see my jersey guy, where I get a lot of my jerseys, talk to him about getting some EPL jerseys that I will give out throughout the season. It may not be every show, but we'll do it throughout the season on stoppage time. And maybe we'll have a show winner who gets his name into a draw. And then at the end of the month, one of the 4 or 5 guys that won will have his name drawn out of a hat, and you'll get an EPL jersey of your choice, whether it's Burnley for the guys here who love Burnley, or Man City. It could be any one of those 20 teams or 18 teams, or how many teams are there? 20 teams. 20 teams in the EPL. And we'll give those away on stoppage time, where we cover a game live and give out our bets before the game and during the game. So please tune in and follow us on Twitter, and we'll give you more information on which game we'll be covering in 2 weeks' time. Kev, Nations League, anything jumping out at you?
I'll keep this simple. I'm not doing the Nations League. I'm going to be sitting back, eating some popcorn, hoping that we beat those pesky Bulgarians, to be honest, tonight. I do baseball. I've got a baseball play up for tonight. But look, those are all of my plays. Newcastle plus 250 to get relegated. Southampton 14-1 top 6, and also that relegation treble. West Brom, Brighton, Newcastle at 66-1. So you can use whatever you like out of those free plays.
All right. James mentioned Scottish football. Are all the teams now healthy? Because I know a couple games were canceled, I think, because of some players testing positive for COVID-19. It's just going to be a regular thing throughout the years, throughout this year, guys, unfortunately, and into next year. It's not going away, but are all games still back on track as far as you know, Kev?
I believe so, because I knew a couple of weeks ago Nicola Sturgeon, who's the Scottish First Minister, she was threatening to close down. I know there's been a lockdown in Aberdeen and places like that, but I only briefly follow the SPL, so I'll keep a close eye on it, and then if any updates, I'll let you know next week.
All right, guys. One last before we go to our Suarez award, in case anyone has a Suarez pick. Sunday is the last day to grab this promo at Wager Talk. It's a fantastic promo. Get any cappers plays at Wager Talk, and there's some select ones at Sports Memo. Not everyone at Sports Memo has it, but you can get all of their plays in every sport that they release for September for $199. That is a fantastic deal. That's usually $399. You get it for $199. I know, like a lot of guys, like myself and Nick, who are high volume guys. I know Kev is doing a lot of baseball, and college football starts tonight. I'm loving it. I've already got a play up. It's just a client play only, so it won't be up for sale. But football is like right around the corner. I'm excited about football. The other football, the American football. We have our European football that we're talking about now. I'm loving it. After this show, I've got some studying to do. I got my fantasy draft at a bar tonight for NFL. But $199, get every single play in September. It's a fantastic deal. Hop on board with one of the cappers. I know Pavlos has a ton of soccer, European basketball. What else you got going there, Pavlos?
Just these two, but European basketball offers a lot of opportunities when it starts.
All right.
We don't know yet.
All right, awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, let's head over to our final feature, and then we'll end this show, and we'll be back next week with some more previews and stuff. This Suarez Award, the Suarez Award goes to the bonehead play or bonehead anything that goes terribly wrong in the past week. There's always something. I'm not sure if we can really find one because there wasn't a lot of soccer that went on.
Come on, there's an easy
But
one.
I'm going to throw it to Nick first while the rest of us think of something. Nick, give us your Suarez Award winner.
There's one clear and obvious Suarez Award. You guys don't even have to throw one out there. It's Barcelona. I mean, come on. They're going to lose the best player of all time. I don't know if it's anybody's fault. I guess it's probably everybody's fault. It's Barcelona.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah, here's the thing with that is I honestly believe that, and we'll see what happens in the next few days, that Messi is going to remain, as hard as it is to see him because he doesn't want to stay, that he's going to remain at Barcelona. They're going to offer him a contract. I saw like some numbers being thrown around by some of the reporters that I follow that I really respect, and I'm going to get one of them on hopefully in the next couple of weeks. But 1.5 million a week in salary, which is astronomical, over 2 years to keep him there for the next couple of years. They're not relenting. It could go to court. They want that 700 million transfer fee. It could get as low as 100 million. I always know they set up these big numbers, and like Juventus with Ronaldo was the same thing. But they worked out a deal, and it worked out. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. He wants to leave. It doesn't make sense. He's put in his time with that team. He's done great things and brought them trophies. If he wants to leave, for them to try and stipulate that his free transfer expired on June the 10th, and he didn't request it when the season was destroyed by COVID, and we had to extend everything, including his contract. Then that June 10th should have been extended as well too. Don't you, Kev? Wouldn't you think that as well too? Is that something that could hold up in court?
Oh yeah, I think he'd definitely win that court decision, to be honest with you, because these were extenuating circumstances. No one's seen the coronavirus coming, so to extend that, it's kind of like that Ryan Fraser Bournemouth situation we were talking about a few weeks ago. But I just can't help feeling a wee bit sad, just because I'm such a fan of Totti for Roma. To be that, the king of a particular city, that could have been Messi. Now, I know he wants to win titles and he wants to, have a chance at European glory, which Barcelona probably can't offer him now. But to be the king, the king of Rome. He's definitely, I don't know if I can agree totally with Nick, he's the best player ever, but he's the best player ever at Barcelona, for sure. So I think he's just going to tarnish that reputation, but definitely you have to side with him in what's going on with Barcelona right now.
Awesome. Guys, NFL, NHL, soccer, all the leagues, Serie A, La Liga, EPL, League One, Bundesliga, NCAA football, NFL football, I think I mentioned, NBA, MLB, tennis. There's just a ton of sports in September. It is the first and only time all of these sports are being played in 1 month. It's a phenomenal time to be a sports fan. You literally just open up an Uber Eats account and just don't leave the house. This is all you have to do is just watch sports 24/7. $199 at Wager Talk. Get any Capper's Place for that amount. Any Suarez award for the rest of you guys before I close this off?
I'm going to give it to Nick and Pavlos.
All right, Pavlos, anybody?
Why, Kevin? Why? He wants to say why.
Because for those who don't know, I have another show with another Irish guy over here in Ireland. It's called the Irish Guys Betting Show. Carmine graciously came on my show 2 weeks ago, talk about Champions League. I invite Pavlos and Nick. Oh, sorry, I'm too busy. Exactly. Red card.
Well, Nick's making babies over there. Pavlos is cleansing. So, they have some type of excuse, but we are going to give him a red on that. With that said, to all the guys who jumped in the chat and asked questions, really appreciate it. We're getting ready for EPL. Next week, we are going to preview the weekend games in the EPL. We're going to give you some free winners. The guys gave you some free winners today in Nations League. Good luck to all you guys. And guys, thanks for tuning in. Really appreciate it.